Hello everyone and welcome! Today I'm going to be doing a quick spring tune-up. You probably saw my last video where I did a blade sharpening. That was a bit more of an extensive task, so if you want to check out how to do that, see my last video on that, which will be in this playlist. But I'm just going to show you how to change the oil, check the spark plug, and change the air filter, and just do an overall function check to make sure the mower is good for the cutting season. Now, if you'll see my previous videos, I actually used to have a Toro personal pace mower, but that had one of those old Tecumseh engines which haven't been made for years and years, and they're just garbage, and it was starting to die, and I tried to fix it, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, so I picked this up on Craigslist. I think this is about 15 years old, maybe more even. This is an old Harmony HRM 215 with a Honda engine, so this is a Honda mower with a Honda engine. It should probably outlast me. It's got a 3-speed self-propelled mode with a blade brake, which this is like a blade safety. You can see this will turn the blade on and off, so you can actually idle it and move it without the blade spinning, which is kind of nice. So I think this is actually a feature upgrade for me. So stick around and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, this is more or less everything that you're going to need. Check the manual for the model number of the mower that you have to see what type of oil that the manufacturer recommends. My Toro actually recommended straight SAE 30 weight oil, which is this stuff here. I use that in my old mower. The Honda actually recommends 10W30, so I'll be using this. But since I just got it off Craigslist, and apparently it had a tune-up recently, so I just checked the oil. It looks clean, so I'll probably run it a little bit before I change it, but it does need a new air filter. So this is the air filter that I pulled out, and there was a foam element that was in front of it, and I just took that out and put it in the kitchen sink with some dish soap, washed it and dried it, and put that back in. But I did get a replacement filter. I got a 2-pack of these on Amazon for about 10 bucks, and you know, that's cheap insurance for protecting your engine. I don't know if this got wet or whatever, but the paper element on this is totally shot. And we're also going to check the spark plug, so you need a whatever size spark plug you have. This is 13/64, I think. 13/16, yes, 13/16, and a spark plug gap checker. So, you know, I'll show you how to take that out, and we'll check. It should be between 0.030 roughly, I think, is the size. So if you look on here, there's basically a scale. You just slide the gap onto the edge there, and it'll tell you exactly what size. But check the manual. I think it's 0.028 to 0.030 is what it recommends, so pretty much like right over here somewhere is where that gap should be. So if it's too narrow or too big, the mower's not going to run right. Alright. Yeah. That spark plug came out extremely easy, so I think whoever put this in last probably didn't tighten it enough, so I'm glad I checked this before I decided to mow the entire yard with it. So, you know, buying something on Craigslist, it could be a gamble, but you know, as long as you do your due diligence and you know what you're looking for and test things, I think you should be safe most of the time, as long as you're somewhat inclined to check the basics. I always flip the mower over, check the condition of the blade. That'll tell you a lot if somebody took care of the machine. But, you know, once you break that loose, just go ahead and loosen it with your thumb. You don't want to strip the threads or anything like that. So, you know, just looking here, looks okay. You can kind of see the element there. I mean, it's not a super old plug. Let's check the gap. So that is a little bit over gap. It's about a 0.035. So what you want to do to correct that is, you know, take like a flat surface and just kind of tap it against something just to kind of flatten that, and you want to do it real gently so you don't actually break the metal there. That's kind of fragile, so be careful. But I'm glad I did check this because it is a little bit over gapped according to the manual. It should be 0.030. So we'll go ahead and correct that. So to change the gap of the spark plug, what I'm going to do is I found a nice flat hard surface right here. I'm just going to take the end of it and just kind of gently push on the end of that metal there between the electrode and that metal, and just gently push it in, and then we'll recheck the gap again with our gap check tool, and if it's within spec, we'll reinstall it. And you definitely don't want to over tighten it, but basically just hand thread it until it stops, and then with your ratchet give it another about quarter to a half turn until it's nice and snug. Well, that spark plug regap took just a little bit longer than I would have liked, but we're back, and I got it to about 0.032, so that's pretty close. But anyway, it might be easier just to replace the spark plug entirely. They're only a few bucks. So what I'm going to do, actually, since we're cleaning this thing up and getting it running good, I'm going to shoot a little bit of seafoam into the inside here. I just have to try to get this out of the way. Try to aim for the spark plug hole. There we go. And what I'll do is I'll pull it a couple of times just to cycle the cylinder real slowly, and then that'll kind of distribute that around, and when we fire it up for the first time, that'll shoot that smoke out of there and burn off the carbon on the inside of the cylinder wall. And we can even shoot some into the some seafoam we can do through the intake as well, and all the better. So just give that a tug a couple of times. And now we'll reinstall the spark plug. It seems like everything to work on this Honda is a little bit tighter and harder to access than my Toro, so everything's really back in here. Do not cross thread this, because you're going to have a hard time replacing it in the future if you cross thread it into the engine block. So do it by hand, really feel where the threads bite, and once it's snug, I don't like to use the ratchet quite yet. I'll just put this on by hand, give it another quick turn, and then we can snug it up. And make sure it's got that crush washer on there on the inside of the spark plug. So we'll just give it a quick turn. That was about a half a turn. I think that's all we need. That's it. You don't want to over tighten that. So that should be good. Put the spark plug boot back on. Now for the air filter. So I already took the filter out of the box earlier when I checked it, and you saw how dirty it was. This is a really nasty filter. It's completely degraded and falling apart. So that's garbage. Yours might be different. Sometimes they just snap onto the side, but really all you gotta do is, this is specific to Hondas now, you just unscrew this and the whole box comes off. And you'll see that there's a foam element inside there. I took this in the sink, cleaned it out. Just make sure you put it back in when it's dry. We'll take our seafoam again. Give it another shot right inside here. And you could do that while it's actually running as well, just to get everything kind of cycled through, but we'll just give it one quick shot just like that. You could start it up without doing that and then do that afterwards, but whatever. I know this thing starts because I did start it up when I bought the thing, so I just want to get it all cleaned all in one go. So your air filter should fit inside the box just like that. Make sure it's all snapped in good. Of course, once you screw it in, it'll kind of sit nicer in there. But it's got a rubber seal around it, so you should be okay there. Line it up. Screw it back in. If you have a fuel shut off on your mower, that's going to be right next to it here. Now that that's in, we'll turn our gas to the on position. And if you have to change your oil, Just untwist this. You know how to change oil, right? It's pretty simple. Just check your condition of it. If it's super dark, then you're going to want to change it. But this is kind of new yet, so I'll probably run it a couple of times before I change it. But it is well within the range of where it's supposed to be. It might actually be a little bit too full, but that's all right. So if you want to drain it, there isn't a drain on the bottom of this, I don't think. So what you'll have to do is tip it on its side. Make sure there's not a lot of fuel in it when you do that, so you don't spill gas. So just run it, or you could, you know, put a plastic bag or something over the gas cap so it doesn't drip out. And check the manual for the type that you're supposed to use. This is, like I said earlier, this is 10W30 that it recommends. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I already cleaned this up and, you know, scrubbed it down. You could spray it down with a hose and dry it off, but you know, I took a little bit of lubricant and sprayed it on the hinges of everything. Silicone spray lubricant, or you could use this WD-40 Specialist, which is also silicone lubricant. And I like to hit all the springs and everything. You can shoot some in here, get some into the workings in here and your height adjustment, get some in there. Spray some into these holes here around the tires, as well as all the controls. Just make sure it's all lubricated nicely and test everything out. You could spray some in here, just a little bit. This stuff dries really quick, so it just takes just a quick shot and you're good. And then in about 5 minutes, it's dry to the touch. So now, we'll open up the garage door before we start this up, obviously. But we'll give it a pull, run it, and we'll see how it does. All right, let's see how we do. Turn on the choke. Just double check. I put the spark plug back in. Oil's good, it's got gas. Might make a little bit of smoke on the first start because of that sea foam, but we'll see. I'm gonna have to lubricate this. Nice and slowly. It took a little bit because it's cold, but it's running. Yeah, I just had to leave it on choke for a little bit longer because it's about 40 degrees out here, but I'm sure on a mild summer day that should probably be running nice and quick, but it sounds good, idle's good. And got up to speed, blades moving, self-propelled's working. I think we're going to have a good mower this year. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for watching.